on to Dr. Anand Parthasarathy, who's a Southern hero, who has his own versatility and skill sets. On to you, Dr. Anand. Let's hear your teaching pearl. Can you start sharing your screen? Dr. Anand?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear? Yeah, I'm here. I'd like to thank the ARC for allowing me to be a part of this very nice symposium. My top cataract pearl is slightly different from what we probably discussed. So the topic was on what are the challenges in this patient. Here we have a patient with a prior therapeutic keratoplasty with an inflammatory membrane, a hypermature cataract, and we had planned a customized toric in this patient. So I'll just tell you my take on how to actually go about this. Of course, the standard teaching is that you need a perfectly circular centered CCC, which is critical to the alignment of the IOL. And our understanding is that it's really not that critical. In this, of course, we do use Viscoat to protect the endothelium. We do the marking, and you can make out the clear graft. Now, I did do a slightly different phaco-assisted CCC, which was to basically reduce the positive pressure inside the lens. I did do a mini CCC once I had the capsule being lifted. I do find that to be a fairly reasonably useful technique. Since the cataract is actually quite soft, you can see a lot of pigment on the anterior capsule. And since it's a soft cataract, a lot of it can be done just with aspiration. Once all the cataract is the liquefied cortex is actually removed, you can actually make out a fairly reasonably sized mini CCC. Now we need to really enlarge it to place the lens, but you can see that I'm having a fair amount of difficulty extending it. I did use a scissors to initiate the rhexis, and the enlargement is actually limited by the inflammatory membrane, which is stuck. I did initially try and remove it, but in a lot of inflammatory cases, you can't actually remove the inflammatory membrane. Now, you do have something like a 4.5 millimeter rhexis and then a customized toric. And in this kind of a plate haptic lens, it is possible to actually insert it through the 4.5 millimeter rhexis. We did the marking and then inserted. Now it's important that the leading haptics go directly into the bag, because once once that happens, placement of the trailing haptic becomes a lot more easier. It is important that the maximum diameter of the lens goes into the bag in the initial injection itself. Once you put it into position and then dial the lens into a position, there is, as you can make out the inflammatory membrane, sometimes you do have some residual cortex. And once the lens is actually in place, you position it as per your marking. In this patient, it's about 150 degrees. You go in and do the cortex aspiration, which is residual, and then of course also the viscoelastic. Now, what is also important, and my important part, is that you may not actually need a very large rhexis if you have a plate haptic lens. In keratoplasty patients, I almost always suture the wound, because this is the biomechanics of the eye is slightly less. In the post-op, you can see that the orientation of the lens is maintained even 2 years post surgery. And the my teaching pearl in this patient is basically two things. One is that in a patient with therapeutic keratoplasty, if you've had a history of inflammation, be prepared you would actually never get a perfect rhexis. You may require multiple attempts to actually complete the rhexis, and stability of the IOL is dependent on the overlap of the CCC on the IOL, even though it may not be regular all around. And usually in these, stability, if the inflammation is controlled, is actually very good. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You said it all. Of course, biometry would be the usual way, but because this is a post-therapeutic keratoplasty eye and inflammatory sequelae is possible, you've implanted a toric IOL, which is necessary. Supposing you have a graft failure, then you would necessarily have to remove the IOL too, no?
Yes, of course, Chitra, the important part in this is to make sure that you have a healthy graft. This patient was a patient who had a fungal keratitis. The counts were 1,500 after the first graft. And in 1,500, and if your surgery technique is good, you lose about 5 to 10% in a well-done phaco cataract surgery. So that risk you would definitely take. And this patient is now on follow for last almost 4.5 years now. Graft is maintains 612 with about plus 1 SIL, which I think is a reasonable outcome for this kind of a case.
Also, if you did have a graft failure in this and you needed to replace the endothelium, I mean, if it was not due to any other cause except for the failed endothelium, then that could be easily replaced, by doing a DMEC or DSEC, whatever.
And that might not change the refractive.
That will not change the refractive status.
Thank you, Dr. Anand. That was a very good tip.